If you think about it, and I mean really think about it, Rent a Girlfriend is a truly profound piece of media, because after all, it's much more than the shallow cuck fantasy story illiterate people try to paint it to be. Because during the late stages of capitalism, very few true blue critiques of capitalism can slip through the cracks of corporate censorship. But Rent a Girlfriend has done just that, and today I'll be helping educate you people on how it teaches us about the evils of capitalism. One of the evils of capitalism taught to us in the show is consumerism. While consumerism itself isn't a bad concept, the best way to satisfy your customer is to appeal to needs and wants. There's obviously some ethical boundaries that shouldn't be crossed for the health and safety of the consumer, like obviously having a rental girlfriend, which is detrimental to the renter's health and emotional development, which establishes them to have a permanently poor love life. Because instead of, going down the rough road of love, the consumer can take the easy way out and just rent a girlfriend, which is what Kazuya does. And the worst part about it is that he's on an incel fat Discord mod who lives with his mum and doesn't go outside or talk to any chicks. He's an ordinary bloke who's got friends both male and female. He's not uneducated, nor is he disabled, but he is vulnerable. And his vulnerability was exploited by vulture capitalists because with just a click of a button, he can rent a girlfriend, and he doesn't even know what the implications it's going to have, because after all, it's just an app. Who really thinks about that much? And this teaches us that it's not just the lower class who get caught up in the evils of capitalism. It can happen to an everyday person. Because class inequalities aren't the only bad things capitalism brings upon. And that's all part of the human experience. Much like it's also part of the human experience to crave for intimacy and to be loved. But love isn't something that should just be commodified, because love is one of the few things that makes us human. But the commodification of love dehumanizes both Chizuru and Kazuya, who are an isolated part of a much bigger societal issue. So once love is commodified, both the rental girlfriend and the renter start to lose some of their humanity, making this whole thing about consumption. And for the renter girlfriend thing, it's a whole other issue of capitalism, the exploitation of women. And the worst part of this whole ordeal is that the constant rental process, the constant consumption, is just so addictive, which is evident in the fact that Kazuya spends an estimate of $250,000 on Chizuru throughout the entirety of the show, financially crippling him. The repetitive nature of the show, no matter how boring it actually is, contributes heavily to its anti-capitalist narrative, because it's a commentary on the cycle of consumption in the capitalist economy. Because having a market tailor-made to consumers' deepest desire can help bring out the devil in people like Kazuya, getting him hooked on an endless cycle of consumption which ends to nothing. And you might think it's terrible writing from a deranged incel, where Chizuru ends up with the author. It's actually an eye-opening metaphor for their negatives of capitalism. Because the fact in the end that Chizuru ends up with the author teaches us that the ordinary man never wins. Though capitalism might bring us some great temporary reliefs, at the end of the day, the winner is always the man at the top, so you got to stick it to the man at the top. So if you didn't understand any of what I just said, and you still watched the video, in conclusion, Rent a Girlfriend teaches us that the overreach of consumerism can have terrible implications for its consumer. Love shouldn't be commodified, and the addiction brought upon by something of just a tap of the finger away can be so crippling. I haven't watched or read Rent a Girlfriend. I just watched the roast video from Mother's Basement to make this video, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Anyways, as you can probably tell, I was sick while making this video, so that's been stopping me from uploading the last few days. The flu's actually kind of sucked.